Hi, this is John Rowley at the Geneseo Middle School. We're here to see you for the St. Malachy's inaugural ball. I'm here with Kathleen Repass and Sherry Long, and we're going to try to get a few of the particulars, some of the background on how the ball came about and some of the things behind the scenes that have gone on to get this rolling. Kathleen, give us a little background on how this all originated.
This is actually the second inaugural ball that we've had. We had one 4 years ago. It began because in November, the third grade class does an entire session on the voting procedure in America. And the kids register all of their fellow classmates and teachers at the school, and on the official voting day when we all went to the polls, the St. Malachy students also went to the polls in the third grade classroom. They had election judges and the whole setup, and they voted for either President Bush or Vice President Gore at that time. And then the results of that showed that from St. Malachy's, George Bush was the winner of the St. Malachy's election. And then this is just a continuation, kind of a culmination of that whole process about them learning what the American voting process is, and they get to celebrate with a party having the inaugural ball tonight.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Sherry, a lot of things maybe we won't catch all of on the camera, but give us kind of a highlight of everything that's going on here this evening.
Okay, we started out with a, I guess what do we want to call it? The receiving line, of the president, vice president, their wives, husbands, Secret Service agents, along with Secretary of State, all kinds of cabinet members. Then we went on to an inaugural ball dinner, and then the kids came into a special room where they conducted putting together floats, which will be taken into the gym now for a parade. And then we'll have the swearing in of the president with Judge Hamer. And then they will be doing a little dance and festivities afterwards.
All right, thank you. Looks like everybody's really enjoying themselves tonight. A good turnout, and I can hear the kids in the room here ready to go with the parade portion of it. So, thank you very much for spending some time with us. I'll let you go ahead and get the parade kicked off here. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Drew Kroger, Secret Serviceman.
I am Nicholas Schnelsky, and I am the spouse of the Vice President.
I am Brooke Olson, and I'm the Vice President.
I'm Molly Lillis, and I'm the First Lady.
I'm Brian Gillespie, and I'm the President.
I'm Tyler Spitzek, and I'm Secret Service.
I'm Abby Winberry, and I'm Secret Service.
I'm Claire Swanson, and I'm the Secretary of State.
I'm Kathleen Wallach, and I'm the Ambassador of the United Nations.
Amber Keplinger, I'm the Secretary of Treasurer.
I'm Erica Haskins, and I'm Secretary of Health and Human Services.
I'm Glenda Carius, and I'm Secretary of Interior.
I'm Kristen Henshaw, and I'm the Attorney General.
I'm Brandy Marriott, and I'm the Secretary of Education.
I'm Brandon Springer, I'm the Secretary of Defense.
I'm Wolf Repass, and I'm Secretary of Agriculture.
Hi, I'm Blake Wiffles, and I'm Secret Service.
Vince Kenny, Secret Service.
I, Brandon Philip Gillespie, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office
that I will faithfully execute the office
of the President of the United States
as the President of the United States
and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Congratulations.
President Gillespie would like to give a few remarks. I'm honored to stand here today where many of this nation's leaders have taken their oath for the office of the President. It took about a month to decide the contest, and I was happy when Vice President Gore made his concession speech, but I was also glad when I knew I had the responsibility of leading America. As President of the United States, I will try to make the world a more peaceful, happy, and dignified place in which to live. As I promised in my campaign, I will work hard to unite all people. I will need your help to accomplish this. All of us have the potential to do great things in our lives, but as Mother Teresa once said, every day we are called on to do small things with great love. This is the attitude that will allow this nation to continue to lead our world. God bless all of you, and God bless America.
Hello, this is Brett Decker with JCTV, and some of you may have read in the newspaper that there's a new not-for-profit radio station starting in Geneseo. And we're here with Keith Kennett, Kurt Ford, and myself. And Keith, why don't you tell us what exactly is our not-for-profit radio station?
Well, it's something new that the FCC came up with about 2 years ago, and it's called Low Power FM. And the thought behind it was that you could create a series of small community-based radio stations across the country that would be pretty micro-focused on a specific geographic area. And so it was open to churches, not-for-profit groups, schools, what have you, could make application to the FCC for this low-power FM license, and then they would in turn grant a radio station license, and you would operate a radio station in a geographic area. Not to get into a long story, but
it's appreciated.
Okay, thank you very much. But it's pretty difficult. In fact, in most areas of the country, it's impossible to start a new commercial station. The spectrum is just full, and you know, if somebody wanted to create a new full power station, you basically can't. And the FCC commissioner thought that that was locking a lot of voices out of the airwaves. So this low power was kind of like a news service, but it's low power enough to where it won't create interference, assuming there's a reasonable amount of open spectrum in a given area.
Okay. Well, how is Geneseo going to use our radio station?
Well, a not-for-profit corporation needed to be started for it, and there's 3 directors to that corporation, which is yourself. I'm pleased to make that announcement now. And
thank you very much.
And Kurt Ford, who stands by me along with myself. The application process required a lot of engineering work just to find available frequency and all that stuff, but also a not-for-profit group, which we have named the Geneseo Community Radio Group, was started.
Yet that has been approved by the directors, though.
Well, subject to. Well, that's what it is. But that's our name, and just as the name implies, this radio station is going to be, it will be a work in progress, but it's going to be wide open. We're hoping to have school district involvement with students from all the schools doing things. It'll be open to members of the community. Pretty much anybody who thinks that there is an interesting topic that would be interesting for people to hear will be welcome at the station. Now, that doesn't mean that anybody can just come in and do anything they want. I mean, we'll have certainly certain standards and stuff that we have to follow. But we're going to design it to be very technically simple so that if somebody wants to do something, they should be able to do it without a lot of difficulty.
Okay. Kurt, how did you get involved in the Geneseo Community Radio Group?
Well, I was initially contacted by Keith to set up the not-for-profit corporation so that we could then make the application to the FCC. And as Keith and I talked, just was excited about the opportunity and the chance to bring a local radio station to town that we could do, a lot of interesting things with. So was just brought on as a director then.
Well, I can second that. I am excited about being involved with this project, Keith. I think, although I will tell the community that Keith was he was the brains behind all of this. Kurt and I are along for the ride. Again, is there anything else you guys would like to add? Who would be the main contact if someone wants to get involved in this?
Probably myself would be best to track down, and I'm in the phone book. You can give me a call. Actually, a lot of people have. I've been surprised how many people have called. Volunteering to help and assist with different things. As it is not for profit, a big question has been, hey, it sounds great, how are you going to pay for this thing? Well, that's a very good question, and I haven't quite ironed that out completely, but we're going to solicit for donations, hopefully to underwrite some of the startup costs, and hopefully with the programming and stuff, we can get underwriting and stuff to allow the station to operate. It'll largely be a volunteer staff. And we're just kind of going to go from there. The frequency has been selected. It's 100.5. The station will have a range of about 8 to 10 miles, so it should be able to take in pretty much the whole school district. Call letters are to be determined. The studio location for it is likely going to be in the Geneseo House, the old hotel above the Cellar Restaurant. And there's some technical snafus and stuff that need to be worked out a little bit, but this should be on the air in some form late spring, early summer. And we're not expecting it to be totally all local program to begin with. I mean, we're not going to have enough people, I wouldn't think anyway, to do 24/7 with local programming. So a lot of it will be automated, probably with some sort of a easy listening music format and stuff, and we'll rely on automation to begin with. But it'll be a work in progress. We have an idea what it's going to be, but who knows? 3 years from now, it may have a completely different form than what we're thinking.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. I look forward actually to seeing and listening to Kurt Ford on the overnight shift, and I had this has been a joy to be part of this process, and it's going to be interesting to watch this evolve. This has been Brett Decker with Kurt Ford and Keith Kennett with JCTV.
Melanie Rice with JCTV. We're here at the museum with Angie Snook, and we're going to talk about the train that we have. And Angie, you kind of want to talk about this really cool acquisition that we got after Christmas?
Well, yes, December 22nd, Nan's Bill Swasia came and brought this train that we have. It's a Buddy L train. It has 7 cars, and it's in wonderful condition. It was originally founded in 1910. Fred Lundahl had a business in the Quad City area called Moline Press Steel, and he manufactured tractors and farm equipment parts, and he had a little son named Buddy, so he decided to start making toys, and the first toys were called Buddy L, and probably everybody in this area knows of Buddy L. They started out first making other children's toys other than the train, more like farm trains and dolls and that type of stuff, but then in 1925 he decided to make the first train. And it's a rather large train. It's not like the trains that we think of.
Okay. And the train that we have here is an original Buddy L then?
It's an original Buddy L train from 1925.
Okay. Now, what is so special about this besides that it was manufactured in the Quad Cities, etc.?
Well, when it first started, they were looking for different companies that would pick up this train and sell it. And so the chosen two places that took it were F.A.R. Schwartz, which is still well known, and Marshall Fields. And they knew if those two companies would pick up the train for sales, that it probably was going to be a huge success, and it was.
Okay. And then we have 7 cars here. Are there some things that you can add if we could?
Oh, yes, there's several other things. There's a flat stock truck, a gondola, clamshell dredge, a shovel, a pile truck, and a wrecking crane. You can purchase 13 cars altogether, and there's very few full sets of trains in the United States.
Okay. And so we have 7, and this was given to us again by who?
This was given to us by Nancy Bills Sueja.
Okay. And they're originally from this area?
Yes, they are. It belonged to Biff Bills, who was her father, and they had a home on the corner of State Street and North, which is right across from the library, kind of kitty corner across from the library. And it was on that corner, a large brick home, and that was their family home. And Biff supposedly got it for his Christmas present, although his daughter Nancy thinks that maybe he got some of the parts from his birthday or other occasions, because it would have been a very, very expensive train for his family to have bought for him. But it was a prized possession of Biff Bills plus Chuck, and then was given to Nancy, and then Nancy's nieces and nephews, and they had other family members who played on it until it was given to the museum.
Okay, well, it is in wonderful condition, and you also have a book that you kind of wanted to mention, too.
Yes, it's called Freight Trains by Donald Cruz, and in 1993, Nancy was planning on giving the train to the museum and had written a letter to Tom Bartlett, and she's been in the process for 7 years getting it to us. And the author was a personal friend of their families, Donald Cruz, and so he had the book. He wrote a message to the Geneseo people that for one place in the United States where one freight train still goes through, and signed it and autographed it and gave it to the museum. And we received that as well as the train.
Okay, and if somebody wants to see the train, can they in the next coming months?
Oh, sure, and we also are really lucky because Roy Joe Clavine and Dan Clavine and Kenny Frisk are looking for tracks to go with it. And it was an indoor-outdoor train, so it was often used outside, and it was a push-pull train, which people probably don't know what that means, but it was not automated in any way, and it's large enough that children could sit on it and move it. And it's made from the heavy pressed steel, and all the paint was originally enameled on, so it could be inside or outside and used, and it was to last forever. And because it was in 1925 and it's already 71 years old, it has held up, or 76 years old, it's held up very, very well.
Okay, well, it looks wonderful, and I hope people get a chance to come and look at it. Do you have anything else that you'd like to mention about the museum or any kind of new things that we're getting?
Well, the newsletter will be out the first part of February. We've just finished having it put together, and it will be printed, and then it will be mailed out. Our spring exhibit is going to be a photography exhibit, and it's going to consist of many of the old cameras that we have. Lyle Hart gave us a very, very large collection of his. Plus, we're going to feature all the old photographers and photographs that they had taken over the years, back to the original photographers in Geneseo. Wow. So it's going to be a fun exhibit, and I hope even to maybe have a weekend where we have some of our old clothes out, and if family members would like to come and dress up and have their family portrait taken in old clothes, that they would be able to do that.
All right, well, that sounds like a great idea, and I'm excited about this train. It's in great condition, and I know that you'll show it off well.
Well, thank you, Melanie.
All right. This has been Melanie Rice here with Angie Snook here at the Geneseo Historical Museum.
Hello, this is Brett Decker with JCTV, and I'm here with Tom Curran, who is the chairman of the hospital board. And Tom, there's some new things going on at the hospital. Maybe you could fill us in on some of those.
Well, there's lots of new things at the hospital. One is that we have recruited and are happy to welcome a new chief executive officer to the hospital, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. And we're also, of course, in the midst of a major building campaign at the hospital, as well as adding a number of different services, but it continues to be a busy and growing place, and something we're very proud of.
Okay, well, would you like to introduce the new CEO?
Sure can. Nate Olson, our CEO, left us just around the holidays to take a position at another hospital. We worked with the management firm that we contract with to help supply manager as well as some other support services to the hospital, Brim Healthcare. And we started a search process back in December and had over 100 applicants interested in the position here at Hammond Henry. With the help of Brim Healthcare, narrowed that down to a few candidates, and actually are very pleased that the candidate we received, I think, is highly qualified and will match well with our needs here at Hammond Henry Hospital. His name is Brad Solberg. Brad joins us after working at a number of different healthcare positions in Ohio. Previous to that experience, Brad has been a community hospital CEO in a community very similar to Geneseo in Michigan, has experience at community hospitals in North Dakota and so forth. So comes to us with I think a great resume in terms of accomplishments and skills that he brings to us, and we really thought just a perfect match for Hammond Henry Hospital. Brad has his master's degree in health administration from the University of Minnesota, and so not only has the practical and experience that we were looking for, but also has a broad academic background that he brings to us also. He joins us with his wife Sarah and 2 children, Eric and John. And we're just very fortunate to have him here, and I'll let maybe Brad tell you a little bit about what is new at the hospital and some of the things we're working on.
That sounds great. And this is our new CEO, Brad Solberg. Yes. Brad, I guess before we get into some of the new things, what intrigued you about working in Geneseo? What brought you here to Geneseo?
It really fit into my background. Tom talked about my experience back in Michigan. Very similar size hospital, very similar size community, and also the proximity to the major tertiary care centers over in the Quad Cities. We dealt with Kalamazoo, for example, only being 25 miles away. So I had the same kind of challenges. Also, my roots are from North Dakota, so in terms of living in a rural area, I told the board members that I think there's 3 or 4 stop signs here, or stoplights here in town, and it's 4 stoplights more than I had in my hometown. So I'm very used to living in rural areas.
That's great. Why don't you tell us what's new here at the hospital, and what give us a little overview of the building plans and some new services that are coming.
Sure. The building plans are coming along very quickly. HB is the company that we're contracting with to provide the design and the build-out phase. Of course, the building is going to be a 2-story building. It'll be adjacent to the 94 wing here, and it's going to house the physicians from both groups, both from Trinity and from Genesis, and then on the 2nd floor it's going to house our surgery unit. We've got a wonderful surgery staff, and in fact that's another service I'll talk about is a new surgeon that's come on board here lately. But we're moving along very quickly, and hopefully sometime in April or at the very latest May we'll be breaking ground on the new building.
Okay, who is the new surgeon?
The new surgeon is Dr. Anita Pat. She came here from Milwaukee. She practiced up there, I think it was about 6 years as a general surgeon, and she is set up practice right next to Dr. Parikh over at the Hammond House, and Dr. Parikh and Dr. Pat will be having offices on the 2nd floor of the new facility, so that'll be a temporary setup for her, but have had a chance to get to know her, and she's getting out there and meeting the physicians. She's had some surgical work already and doing well, so we're eager to have her on board.
Okay. Well, what's the estimated completion date of this project?
We're looking at June of 2002. So we need to get things rolling here, and looking at about a 13-month schedule for construction.
Okay. If I do the math, then we're thinking early summer to break ground.
Early summer. We're hoping for May for groundbreaking. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that sounds great. Well, it's nice to meet you, Brad, and a lot of exciting things happening here at the hospital. Feel free. Everyone will be driving by, I'm sure, to see the progress on the hospital. Thank you, Brad, and thank you, Tom, for taking time out of your day. This has been Brett Decker with JCTV.
Hi, this is Melanie Rice with JCTV here with Angie Snook here at the museum, and we're going to do a piece that I think many people will be interested in. We're going to talk about what the house was when it was originally built and who lived where and who slept where, and we're going to start with the south side of the house, and we're right in the entryway, and I think we're going to kind of talk about what this was used for and what it was.
Well, this was the side where George and Jane Wilson lived and their daughter Emma. And they lived in here until 1892. And both of them died around the same time, just a few months apart. And this was their home from 1867 until 1892.
And we're right in the entryway, and probably what would have been done here, or this was a side that people really came in to entertain. So I'm sure this probably meant something.
That's why this side has such a large entryway as well. And when a lady would come or a gentleman would call, there's a little silver tray over here. They would come in, then the maid would take the card and put it on the calling card tray, and then she would talk to Mrs. Wilson and ask her what time that she could be presented to visit with this woman or a gentleman, and then she would tell them a time period and they would come back. They never went beyond the entryway until Mrs. Wilson or Mr. Wilson would tell them that they would grant a visit from them.
So you came with a card and then you were either granted a visit or not?
That's correct. And many times they would come early in the morning, and probably Jane Wilson would say, oh, I can see them at 2 in the afternoon, and they would come back, and then the maid would have them come in for a visit.
Okay, that's amazing to me. Well, we're going to go here through the entryway, so they would come through here, and another set of double doors, which of course are beautiful, and they would end up in this room. And what was this room for?
Well, this room was actually their library, and they would also use it as their music room and their drawing room. And this side of the house does not have what's called a keeping room. It has, as some rooms do, which were used very much like our family rooms or dens are, but they used their library very much like a keeping room. And the family would entertain each other in here. The children would do their music lessons, take painting lessons when they were busy with that, and it would be in this room rather than into the formal parlor. Probably the gentleman would also meet in this room if Mr. Wilson was having men guests in, and this is where they would drink their brandy, smoke their cigars, and the women would retreat to the formal parlor. Also, the solarium, which is off to the south of this, played a real important role. The people at this time period would spend many hours in the sun because they felt it helped keep them healthy in the wintertime, and I sat in there today and had a cup of coffee, and it made me feel much better, so I think it works.
Yeah, well, they must have known about seasonal affective disorder before we did, because you're right, light does definitely help. And that's a beautiful place, and I bet probably hardly anything has been changed in there.
No, it's just like it was, the big windows, and they probably had lace curtains in there, which someday we hope to have as well. But they had their plants and their wicker, and they probably took coffee in there or took tea in there, and that was a special place for them to just relax.
Okay, and in the library there's a lot of built-ins, and I love that. It's just beautiful. And after the library, here's the formal parlor?
This is their former parlor, and at one time it said in one of the articles that this was also their drawing room. So Emma was an artist of sorts, and she did her drawing in here as well as in the library, and it's a beautiful room. It's very large because this is where they entertained and had their parties, and they had orchestras. It's large enough that they would have a small orchestra here from Chicago or Davenport, and they would entertain in here. They had many, many parties, many social gatherings, and they were one of the elite couple in Geneseo, and so they did a lot of entertaining.
And there's also an entrance from the entryway. That's interesting because most people just kind of stayed in the entryway. So what do you think that was used for?
Well, when they had big parties that they would entertain, there's also double doors here into the library. They would open this up and they could use the entryway, the library, as well as a formal parlor, and then onto the back is the dining room, and that's where they would have the food to be served. And they could entertain in all three rooms. And many times they had as many as 200 guests in their home, so they needed all this space. And the big double doors opened it up. It was almost like a great room that we have today, so they could have large groups for entertaining.
Okay, do you want to kind of show what the dining room would have been like?
Sure.
Okay. You would come through the library here, right?
Right.
Okay.
And notice all the fireplaces.
Yes.
In the dining room is the only place that we have a different type of fireplace.
Okay. He's coming. And it is different, way different.
This did not have a kitchen area because the kitchen was off to the back where the office is, but this is the faux marble fireplace, which is quite unique. It does have a top that's been added, but underneath it is the original mantle to it as well. So we will eventually take off the formica that's been put on the top and use the real faux top mantle that's with it. It's beautifully done. It looks like marble, but it is not. And it's has its original front to it yet, and great. And they would probably burn coal in it, or sometimes they would even small pieces of wood. But they would put the metal frame on the top, and that would radiate the heat. And this was really a quite large dining room for that time period.
Okay, and they probably couldn't seat all those people in here, could they?
No, they probably did not have as sit-down dinners as we think of today, but they would have more like a buffet that we have today.
Okay, and buffets are always better.
Yes.
Okay, is there anything else down here? I know the kitchen was probably where the office is. Is that what you're saying?
Take a peek at
Okay.
Well, this was their kitchen, and it actually has their own wainscoting, the original wainscoting on the lower part of the wall. And it played an important part because there was where they would have their cook stove, they would have their pump for their laundry or for washing their dishes. It played a part because it was also in the back of the house where the heat couldn't get to the rest of the house to warm it up during the summer. Where the bathroom is now was their summer kitchen and their laundry room. And on the original windows, they even had little tiny pocket windows that opened up to the outside. So even in the wintertime, they could keep the moisture and the heat out of it. And they would use that in the summertime rather than this formal kitchen. And it would even keep the heat even further away from the house. What's kind of unique about this house is in the third attic, which is right above us, there is a huge copper tub, and they would store rainwater that would come in through the eaves, or not through the eaves, but through the downspout, and they would save that water in that tub, and then they could bring it down here, and they could actually take baths. And that was something quite unique to this area. Not very many homes had that. So even back in the 1860s and 70s, they were able to take a bath. They would have to heat the water in the tub, but they did have running water from that big tub upstairs.
Wow, and that's amazing. I bet people were very envious of that.
It was probably one of the very few in Geneseo.
Okay. And why did they have a kitchen from the outside?
Homes always had what they called a summer kitchen, and that's where you would cook and do your laundry, where you had to heat your water, and so it would be very, very hot. They canned their food, and that became a very hot process. So they would have what was called a summer kitchen, and that was what they would use just to keep the heat out of the main part of the house during the summer months, because even fans were not readily available. There was just your big windows.
And if you think about the makeup of the house now, I mean, way different than today's houses because the kitchen is a center of activity, but this is where the maids were.
This is where the servants were. This is where their steps come down to tell them where they go to work. And they were the ones that suffered the most. Probably the other thing is why we have 12-foot ceilings is because heat always rises and would help keep the house very cool in the winter, or in the summer. But in the winter, the heat also rises, and so it would work the opposite. But if you look at old homes, almost all the windows are on the south sides of the home because that would let the sunlight in the winter, and north side had fewer windows, and that's where the cold comes in. So if you drive around town and look at the old homes in Geneseo, you'll see the bow windows usually on the south side, the solariums on the south side, the majority of the windows on the south side of the homes.
Okay. Well, we're upstairs, and Keith is kind of panning on the stairway, and it is beautiful and very unique to this side of the house. It's a lot different than the other side.
Well, the balusters are very large, and it's very ornate. It's a large stairway, very heavy. We're not sure if it was walnut or rosewood. It's hard to tell with how many coats of varnish it's had on it, but it's lovely. And even the crown molding coming up the steps is really nicely done. All the woodwork, too, is very wide, and the walls up here are almost 25 inches wide from solid brick walls. So it was a well-built home.
Okay, and we're kind of at the top of the stairs. This probably, I'm sure, has some sort of significance.
Well, this was a wonderful spot for Jane to come upstairs. Her wicker would be up here. She could lounge up here, read her books, write her letters. This was her kind of private area to be away from the rest of the family when she needed to be. It's got big windows, and it would just be a real private area for she and even her husband George later on in the evening, because their master bedroom is off of this. So it's quite a nice area to have. And many of the new homes are building now that are similar to the Victorian homes are incorporating these into their new home.
Okay, well, and no space was left unused, I can tell. And this was little Emma's room.
Well, yes, this is Emma's bedroom, and there was a fireplace on this wall as well, and during the process of being made into apartments, it had been taken out. There is an entrance for the servants to come in, which is over here, and the servants would enter into Emma's room, and they could take care of Emma, and then the parents would not have to have that duty in the night, which is quite unique. I think that would be quite promising for some people in this day and age, but not all of us are quite that lucky. But we use this for our storage room, but this was Emma's bedroom. And it's not very large. You would think it would be larger than this, but the bedroom is not very large, and she was the only child.
Okay. And this side of the house has the cry doors, right?
Yes. In our entryway, if you notice the stained glass doors, those were the early nursery doors, which are like a baby monitor.
Right.
And Mother could open those up while she was in the parlor, and she could hear Emma if she was upstairs crying or needed help, or later on playing with her friends. And if she needed help, Mother could take care of her or call for one of the servants to come in and take care of Emma.
Okay, but mostly the servants, and that's why the door's there.
Yes.
That is very interesting. Well, as we leave Emma's room, we're going to go into this room here, and this is just a tiny little thing.
Well, this was Emma's nursery room, and then later, after Emma got large enough and old enough to move into her own bedroom, it became Mother's sewing room and writing room.
Okay.
And then this door is also to the servants' quarters so that they could come in and take care of whatever needs George and Jane had without interrupting Emma if she was resting as well. And we use it for our medicine room, and we have our doctors, dentists, veterinarians, any type of medical field, and that's what it's used for now.
And if you would come upstairs on the elevator, this is the first room you'd get to.
Yes, this is where you come into from the elevator.
Okay, well, this is a very small nursery room, and I see there's no fireplace in here.
No, and I don't know if they had a wood stove or something else that might have been helped to warm it in the wintertime. I'm not sure.
Okay, and now I assume this is the master suite?
This is the master bedroom. It still has its original tin ceiling, and it's really a beautiful design. Also, there was a fireplace in this room, and it was on this wall over here. And it's kind of in a corner, which is kind of unique. I don't know why it was placed that way. It probably, if we went down to the parlor, we'd be sharing the same chimney that's right below it for the formal parlor. So I'm sure that's why the fireplace up here is put over where it is. Also, they had a closet on this side, which was quite unique because in this time period, if you had closets in your home, you were taxed on a closet the same as a room. And this closet even has a hole in the floor where George and Jane could hide their private documents, any gold pieces they would have, family jewels, whatever. And that's what they would use there. It's hidden in the floor, and when you cover it up, no one can see it's even there. In fact, we didn't know it was here when we purchased the house.
And it's still in that closet?
It's still in that closet. Probably what I find unique about this side, back in the servants' quarters, which we have 4 more rooms, is one room that's larger than what the sewing room is in here, all built in with huge dressers, storage areas, places to hang clothes, and that was for the ladies on this side of the house to hang all their beautiful clothes that they had special made for them. It's a huge room. All of us would love to have one today.
Okay, and where is that?
That's back in the servants' quarters.
Okay.
And of course, it would be there because the servants were the ones who would care for the clothes, steam the clothes, press the clothes, keep them ready, keep them in good shape for George and Emma and Jane to wear.
So the servants would bring their clothes in, and so they didn't choose what they wanted to wear, or they said, go get me something?
No, they would choose what they wanted, and it was up to the servants to have those clothes ready. They would probably bring it in, put it on a dress form, so all as Jane had to do is take it off the dress form, and they probably even helped her get it on because they had all the corsets and all the special paraphernalia that goes with being slim and trim and a beautiful Victorian lady.
Right. Okay. Well, this room is not that big, but it probably was in those standards.
Oh, sure. At bedrooms at that time, many people, if you were children, whether you're brothers and sisters, you would share the same bedroom. Exactly. And the parents would have a very small bedroom. And when they first settled in Geneseo, at the same time period, some people just had a loft, and the whole family slept in the whole loft. That's right. Brothers, sisters, babies, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa. They were just happy to have a place to sleep.
Okay. Well, I love that we got a chance to talk about this, and I'm hoping that next month we'll get to go on the other side
Oh, we will, and hopefully the Christmas decorations will be down, and that we'll be ready to share it, because it's even more difficult to decide what rooms are what over there because of our display areas. But the bedrooms will be real exciting to see next month on the other side.
Great. Well, thanks a lot, Angie. This will probably clear up a lot of things that people have been wondering about, and for sure, me too. I've been doing this for a few years now, and I still wasn't sure where everything was, so I appreciate this. Is there anything that you want to add about what we're doing this spring for the museum?
Well, we are already preparing for our openings with the photography display and our gardens, but also I'd like to take a chance to thank everybody who has sent in donations to help on our daily expenses with our gas bills, and everybody else's gas bills have gone up at home, but people have been very willing to send us, and it's really helping us out a lot. If you do come during these winter months, be prepared, wear your sweatshirt or sweater and dress warm, because it's not very warm in here.
Okay, well, I can tell that we've not been here very long, and I can't imagine you working here all day, so I bet you appreciate all those donations.
Oh, we definitely do, and it's really kind of everybody to have helped us out as much as they can, and we thank them for it.
Okay. Well, this has been Melanie Rice with Angie Snook here at the Historical Museum. This is for JCTV.
This is Jody Edwards with JCTV, and we're at the Geneseo Public Library with Director Brenda Fowler. Brenda, it's been a while since we've gotten together. Can you give us some updates on what the library's been doing and what you have coming up?
Oh, I certainly can, and thank you for coming. Some of the things that are going on is we have 2 brand new internet stations for our patrons to use. That gives us a total of 4. The art volunteers are here from February through the middle of April, and in fact, I think it's April 16th. They're here Mondays, Wednesdays, 1 o'clock till 4 o'clock. And first come, first served, so you don't have to get here too early, because they have quite a few volunteers that help out, and we have plenty of room to sit. And you can also look at magazines and newspapers too, instead of having to wait in the room. Our book buddies and our wee wigglers are going to be starting up March 13th through April 3rd. It's sort of a little mini session that we're going to have before the Easter holidays and also before summer reading starts. Next, Dial a Story, still popular, so kids, keep that phone ringing. We try to get a new story in there really often. Be sure and look at our website here at the library. We're always getting new sites and new links for the teenagers and adults and youngsters to click on to. Plus, it keeps you up to date. If you can't stop in the library and get a newsletter, you can find that information right on your website. The other thing is that the PTA Reflections had a contest and an art display that they're sharing with us here at the library. And you can see some of the wonderful pictures that we have all through the library here, especially in here. And the theme was, wouldn't it be really strange if? And there are some really remarkable things going on. Also, February is Black History Month, and we have some wonderful displays of artifacts that people have collected through the years. And every month we have something different on this wall in the Hammond Room, as well as in all our display cabinets.
Wonderful. Your volunteers that are here Monday and Wednesday, what are they doing for the public?
All right, these volunteers from ARP, which is the abbreviation for Americans with retired persons, they come in and help senior citizens with their tax returns.
Now, is that senior citizens only, or can anybody in a low income come get their taxes done?
I think anyone that had a question would be welcome.
Wonderful. Well, that's a lot going on, Brenda. Oh, my goodness. Well, is there anything else coming up that you'd like to discuss with us?
Oh, some of the things that are coming up will be coming up in April, and that would be National Library Week, and then the Friends of the Library have their book sale, and we're going to be having another cultural day coming up very soon. So just keep your eyes and ears posted, and make sure you stop in the library and give us a call. We'll fill you in on the latest.
Wonderful. Well, keep up to date with the library with JCTV. This is Jody Edwards saying goodbye.
Hello, this is Brett Decker with JCTV, and I'm here with Bob Delp and Kyle Finley. Bob Delp is the manager of Farmers Mutual, and you guys today have put on a demonstration for the middle school. What exactly was that demonstration, and why did you want to bring that?
Well, Farmers Mutual Electric Company is a rural electric co-op here in Geneseo, and part of what we hope to be able to do is bring something back to the community, give something back to the community. And one of our goals was to help educate young students about the risks of electricity and the dangers where there's down power lines in the spring when there's storms and things. And so by bringing the live line demonstration, it physically showed students what could happen and how to protect themselves from dangers of down power lines and actually electricity within their home even.
Okay. Well, thanks, Bob. And that brings us to Kyle Finley, who is the owner of Live Line Demo Incorporated. And you actually put on this program. And give us a little background. What was this program? What did the kids see today?
Well, the kids, by being able to do this live, when you've got the flashes, the arcs, the explosions, you can hit on their senses. We can set them in a classroom and go through the bookwork and, teach them. But when they can see it, hear it, smell it, they believe that electricity is really on those wires. Because you look at the wires that are out there in front of your home and you can't see, hear, or smell. Think about the awesome power that's there to run the factory that's down the street, to run the school. There's a lot of energy there, and the kids just really don't understand that. So by having the live program, they're able to better understand it and respect it.
Okay. How many students did you present this to today?
Well, you're really asking me. Maybe 800 or 900 here today, and probably that many yesterday.
How many grades got to see this?
6th grade all the way through high school in the Geneseo area here in the last 2 days.
In my case, I just got one little circuit breaker right there. You guys have got breaker boxes at home, maybe in the garage, the basement, or a fuse box. That's to protect the electrical circuits. If the wiring comes, Brittany, can you reach over and touch me? You know why? She started to, Brittany, can you touch me like that? Your hands could close up. You could be that down the ground. It can hurt you too. Sure, Bob, I'm on my way. Just a moment. What's your name? Squirrel finally gets warmed up this morning, and he wants to go down the road, visit his buddies down the other end of the line. So he steps off the transformer, he runs down the wires to the next pole. Are you guys okay? Watch this very closely. That's my little bird next to the bug calling on the back of his legs. This balloon floats around up there for a couple of days. It floats down towards Geneseo this afternoon. It floats into this substation with 69,000 volts of electricity. And as it floats into the substation, it lands on a big old transformer. So Aaron, when you get there, you back that big old truck down the driveway. He reaches down, he pulls what we call a PTO pump. What that does is that pumps that truck bed up in the air. Well, Aaron, the truck bed's idling up in the air, and Aaron gets out. He's got to open up the tailgate to get the flow of the corn coming out. Aaron, as that truck bed goes up, raise one finger really high. Now you guys look at Aaron's finger. Look at that hot dog. You want to touch it there, Aaron? Aaron, is the hot dog and your finger kind of the same? Yeah, I'm thinking about it, you guys. If you eat a hot dog, what's in it? A little meat, a little fat, a little bone, a little hair, a little gristle. 49-cent package of hot dogs. What are they right now put in there? I'm not sure. Aaron, that looks like your finger, doesn't it? The skin, the flesh, all that. Aaron, have a seat for a second. He's right back up here. Aaron goes to the back end of that grain truck. He grabs the tailgate of the truck. He'll open up the tailgate of the truck. This 7,200 volt power line. Aaron, come back there. 7,200 volts of electricity found a path to home today on the family farm. And you know what that path was? Right here. Aaron, into his life. And he's bringing it back.
We're with Valerie Bustle right now. Valerie, what did you learn today from the live wire demonstration?
I learned how birds can sit on the telephone wires and the electrical wires. It's if they have equal voltage in each side, then it's just equal and it doesn't electrocute anything. But if it's unequal, like 7,001 or 7,200 in the other, then it makes it uneven and then you electrocute.
Okay. And what if that bird would want to eat a bug that was actually on a pole that was grounded? What would happen to that bird?
The bird would fry.
That's exactly right. Michaela, now we're with Michaela Ward. Michaela, what did you learn today?
That a regular outlet in your house has 120 volts of electricity, and the wires outside have a weather coating or a rubber coating for safety. And if the squirrels nibble on the wire and trees fall down it, and sometimes it's struck by lightning, it can wear down the weather coating. So if you were to get a kite stuck in the wire and you were to pull on it, the wire could either snap or break or fall on you.
Okay, and if the rubber, like you were saying, if the rubber coating is worn off of there and your string on your kite is wet, would you be electrocuted if you were holding on to your string and the kite was up in the power lines?
Yeah, you would.
And what would happen to you?
You probably die.
That's exactly right. Well, thank you very much, girls. This is a very informative program that we just saw from Live Wire Demonstration Incorporated. This has been Brett Decker with JCTV.
Hi, this is Jody with JCTV, and we're back at the Geneseo Public Library with Director Brenda Fowler. Brenda, we're back. Tell us what we can do in the month of April.
Okay, April's going to be a busy month for us. April is National Library Week, and that's where we celebrate the wonderful business of libraries. We're going to be having our third annual Food for Fines, and what this is when you have any books that are overdue, whether it's an old fine, a new fine, you can bring those books back in, your fine will be forgiven, and all you need to do is bring in a canned good of non-perishable type item, hygiene type items like soap or paper products. And we're going to donate all these donations to the food pantry here in Geneseo. They tend to get a lot of donations, maybe in Christmas and Thanksgiving, but sometimes around springtime people tend to forget, and they need those items as well then. Also, we have Friends of the Library are going to be having their biannual book sale, and that is April 26th, 27th, and 28th. Donations are welcome. Stay in touch with the library because this summer we're going to have our summer reading program, and we're busy getting programs set up now, and it's going to be called, or the theme is going to be called, Feed Your Need to Read, and they have really cute characters that they're going to have for that. Also, we still are enjoying our tax volunteers from ARP who are here Mondays and Wednesdays, 1 until 4. First come, first served, and they will be here through the 16th. And don't forget to vote in the upcoming election in April. I'm sure this will be after the fact, but we hope that everybody gets out and votes for our Board of Trustees that are open.
Busy, busy, busy. You never seems to amaze me, Brenda. You guys are always doing something. And your summer reading program, is that for adults or just for children?
We try to have a little bit in there for the adults, and we're going to try a little more this year, but it's mainly for our youngsters. And we have a lot of exciting things planned for them this summer.
Great, and I bet you they can call the library if they have any questions, can't they, Brenda?
They certainly can, 944-6452.
Thank you so much. We'll look forward to seeing you again next month. This is Jody saying goodbye from JCTV.
Hello, this is Brett Decker with JCTV, and I'm here with Ann Raschke, who is the chairman of the board of the Geneseo Endowment for Excellence in Education. Now, that's a long version of GEEE. Ann, can you give us an idea, what does GEEE do?
GEEE funds projects that enhance the educational experience of the Geneseo students.
Okay, could you give us some examples of some things that you've funded and some projects that you guys have been involved with?
Okay, some of the things that we have funded are we fund field trips for students. The fifth graders, I believe, go on an ecological cruise on the Mississippi River. The second graders go to Wildlife Prairie Park in Peoria. We also fund in-school presentations by artists. Putnam Museum brings projects in, different things like that.
How long has GEEE been funding projects in the Geneseo school districts?
We are celebrating our 10th year of funding projects, so it's a special year for us this year.
That's great. Now, can you give us an idea, what was the history of GEEE? How did it get funded initially?
GEEE was an idea that came out of the school board in the late 1980s, and some of the school board members and interested citizens in the community got together, and after a lot of work and thought, was able to get this endowment established through the generosity of local businesses and citizens.
Okay, great. Now, if someone would like to donate to that, after 10 years, I'm sure they can still donate. How would someone donate to this endowment fund?
Well, we have a post office box, 211, in Geneseo that they could send donations to. And a lot of people do send donations if they're friends of education or want to make a memorial in memory of someone. They do that. The endowment is run on endowment basis only. We use funds generated by the endowment to fund our projects so that a gift to the endowment goes on working forever.
Okay, well that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Ann, for helping us learn a little bit more about what GEEE is. We appreciate that. This has been Brett Decker with Ann Raschke for JCTV.
Hi, this is Melanie Rice with JCTV back at the museum with Angie Snook. And last month, if you remember, we talked about the south side of the house and what each of the rooms were, and now we're here on the north side. And we're standing here in the entryway, and it's a little bit different than the south side.
Well, this was Hiram's side of the house, and the original side that was built in 1855 by George Richards. And it is much smaller. It's not as ornate as the other side, but it has still very pretty qualities that are quite unique for Geneseo for the 1850s.
And this entryway is a lot smaller than the other side.
Yes, it is. When it was built, they didn't do the entertaining that was done in the 1860s, although it has beautiful stained glass. It has its original open stairway that has a special finish on it that people are doing today, and it's just a really nice warm area for the entry of the house.
Okay. Do you think that she had people calling on her also in this entryway?
Well, I'm sure she had her friends and acquaintances, and they probably came and did very much the same on the other side. She probably had calling cards as well, because there were servants on this side too.
Okay. And here we are in this room, and what was this?
Well, this was their formal parlor, and it faced the front of the street just as the other side did. It's got floor-to-ceiling windows just as the other side did, and it's really kind of played an important part because this north side, being the original side, set what the precedent would be for the type of building on the other side.
And there's a lot of nice built-ins in this side of the house, which is pretty character of most older homes.
Yes, in fact, there are quite a few bookcases, and as we go through the house, they also had their pantries. Their dining area had built-ins, and it was because they didn't have a lot of furniture, so instead of furniture, they built in some of their places to put their nooks and cranny things.
Okay, things you have to dust is what I'm thinking. And there is is that a solarium kind of like? Or?
Yes, that is a solarium too, but the solarium was added on this side a little later. And so originally it was not part of the home, but it was added on as the south side took on their solarium, and so each side had theirs, although this one is much smaller.
Okay, well, it probably does its job because the windows are just about as big.
And I think it may be smaller because it's on the north side of the house as the other is on the south side.
Right.
So they wouldn't get as much sunlight, and also the wind would probably come in on the north much stronger than it would on the south.
Okay. And here's a beautiful fireplace. And what was this room?
This was called their keeping room, and it's just like our den or our family room is today. And there was a fireplace in here that matched the one that's also in our library on the main floor, and the library one was taken out when it was made into apartments. But their keeping room would be used as their music room, the room for the children to play. Their library on this side is much smaller, so it wasn't used for the whole family gathering as it was on the south side.
Okay. And then as we go through the keeping room, there's another room here. What was this?
This was their library, and it's so much smaller than the one on the other side of the house. There were originally two large double doors that closed this room off. And to the right, there's a door, and that is for the servants to enter. And it's the stairway that goes up to the servants' quarters is behind this, and it has two doors, one on this side into the library, and on the other side of the stairwell is the one that goes into the dining room, and then the outside entrance for the servants to enter from the courtyard.
And what would the servants be coming into the library for?
They would be bringing in probably the food or that the men would be eating. Libraries were often used for meetings and for the men to get together, and since they were on the bank board, I'm sure they had their bourbon in here or whatever the drinks they would have. And that was kind of a customary thing. It wasn't that people drank a lot, but that was just a type of thing they did, smoke cigars and maybe would have a little bourbon or scotch when they talked over business deals. And some of that's changed quite a bit today.
Well, and I would say that women probably weren't invited to the library.
Absolutely not. The women went into the formal living room or parlor, and they were separated from the men, and also by another set of doors.
Okay, well, and the doors were gone, I noticed, but Keith is coming in here, and, well, this is your country store, but I know it was something different before that.
Well, we think this is probably the original kitchen to the house, and later our kitchen that we're going to be opening up in the future is to the back, and we know that there was a partition between the rooms and that it was the back was added on later. And then where the bathroom is now to the back of the house was their summer kitchen, just as there was on the south side, and it was their summer kitchen and washroom, and there's a door that leads to the outside so that the people could go in and out, the servants could go in and out from that door rather than from the main entrances. It also could be closed off to keep the heat from coming into the main part of the house.
And again, the people that lived in the house actually probably didn't spend much time in the kitchen.
No, that was the servants' job. They were to take care of the family, make the food, do the laundry, clean the house, take care of the children.
Okay. And we kind of walked through this room a little bit quick, but can you kind of tell me what this one was?
Well, this was their dining room, and this really is a quite large dining room for 1850s. And we have heard there was a fireplace in this room as well, and it was where our big cupboard is to the right, and I don't know what happened to it. I do know there's another chimney when we go into the kitchen, and when we'll open it up, everyone will be able to see there was a chimney there. The built-ins in here are for the food and also for the dishes, and the long door is kind of hidden behind the painting. That was where the servants could go into the pantry, and they would enter from the dining room into the pantry. This was the buffer zone because the kitchen door would be kept closed so that the family wouldn't smell the foods as they were being prepared. And it's kind of unusual. We think of how good the food smells today, but they did not want to smell the foods. So.
And what were the reasons? Do you have any idea?
I just think that that was part of the anticipation of being fed, and also that was the servant's job, was to make the food and prepare it. And they wanted to come, the family wanted to come in, sit down, be served, and then they would realize the odors and the foods that were being prepared. Also, the foods had no preservatives, and they were made from scratch, so many times maybe the odors weren't as good as what we have today. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, that's very interesting. And the servants would go right in that pantry, and then they would just bring things in here, and that would be it, and the family would just leave. They wouldn't clear the dishes or anything like that.
No, that was the servants' jobs too. They came in, they cleared the tables, they took the dishes, they washed the dishes and put them away for the morning or for dinner later in the evening if it were lunch, and that was their job.
Okay. Some people wonder if the two houses are connected.
They are connected only between the formal parlors and then upstairs, there was the sewing room and the formal bedroom of the south side. That was the only place they were connected. They were divided by a courtyard, and that's where our new lobby is, and that was only for the servants to use. The attics are the same way. There's 2 separate stairwells going to the attics. You cannot cross over from one attic to the other, even though it's a quite open space to get the breeze through the attics in the hot summer. But if you crossed over to the other ones, you'd fall down their steps.
Okay, all right. And that probably just said everything about the 2 families, just not too connected.
No, they were very adamant about having their own space and doing their own thing.
Okay. Okay, here we are in the upstairs of the north side of the house, and as you come up the stairs, on this side, it's a lot skinnier as you come up, and there's like a niche in the wall. You want to kind of explain that?
Well, that's our casket niche, and the family casket was kept in the attic of the north side. And when someone would pass on this side of the house, in order to get the casket around the curve of the step, the niche had to be cut in the wall. And the family would stay with the casket in the basement, or in the former parlor, not the basement.
Okay.
And 48 hours, then they would put the body in a pine box and take the body to Oakwood Cemetery, and then the good casket would come up around the steps and then up through to the attic again, and would be stored. And it was used for almost 40 years, as far as we know.
Okay, so just one casket per family, and it was the same one, and then everyone got a pine box. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And there was only one ornate casket.
Okay, well, that's interesting, because that's a lot different than we do things now. And this is just a tiny little room. What is this room?
Well, this was her sewing room, and it was probably a very important room because in the early days, you couldn't go to the millinery shops and buy clothing, so each lady would have a sewing room. And the woman on this side, she really did a lot more sewing than on the other side because they had a lot of their clothes made in Chicago or wherever, but she made a lot of her clothes. So this was her sewing room, and it was probably very important that she have this available. The servants probably also helped hem her dress and do some of the work as well, but primarily she did her sewing herself.
Okay, and this is part of where you can get to the other side, and I bet that door was shut.
That was shut, and in fact, we didn't know that there was an opening between the upper and lower levels on each side. They were boarded up, and they may have been double-doored from the time the homes were built. I'm almost sure they would have been.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Well, as we leave the sewing room, I think we're going to get to a bedroom.
This is the master bedroom. It has a beautiful white fireplace. There were 3 white fireplaces up here originally. This was the master bedroom. The rope bed that is in here is an original to Geneseo. It is from Roderick R. and Clarissa Stewart's bed. It came from the east. It was originally maple, and then they stained it to walnut because that was the chosen wood of this area. And it's really beautiful, and we're glad that we have it in. It's very appropriate to what would have been in this time period in this house. It's also furnished very much like it would have been. The writing desk was actually part of the first chamber console desk in Geneseo. And there's a wardrobe, and that's where the people kept their clothes because you were taxed for closets the same as you would be a room. So they had armoires and closets. It's a beautiful old room, and it's probably one of the highlights of everyone who comes and visits here.
Yeah, because it is so authentic. I mean, it looks wonderful, and I remember when we did this room before, people had pictures of deceased relatives over their walls.
Yes, and there's several still up in here, and it's real interesting. There is a real story about the 2 oval paintings that are on the wall, and I'm going to be doing a narrative about the family at the library's literary day. And the two couple were first cousins. They lived here near Orion and wanted to marry, and the state of Illinois does not allow or did not allow first cousins to marry, so they had to go to Davenport, Iowa and be married, and they had 4 children and raised them and stayed in Iowa. But their roots were really in this area. They always wanted to come back, so their family members brought their wedding trunks that are on the floor, plus the portraits, their family history, their family Bible, everything back and gave it to the museum because they really wanted to be here but couldn't because of the marriage laws.
Wow, that's a wonderful story. And here we are standing in this room next to the big bedroom there, and what was this room?
This was their nursery room and children's room, and if you look towards the lower part, that is the servants' quarters, and it was, the servants would have a way of coming in, taking care of the children, just as on the other side. Also has steps down going into the servants' quarters to let the servants know they were not the same quality of people as lived up here. Also, the entrance for the servants from the courtyard comes up into their living quarters. This is what we want to open up next, which will be really exciting. And we have a rope bed and several articles now that have been donated so that we can get working on it. I think the fun thing is in the floor, there's a hole in the floor, and people have questioned what is that for. And that is for if the lady of the house needed help upstairs, there was a rod that went through. She would pull on it, and it would ring a bell for if the servants were downstairs to come up the back stairway, care for the children, empty the chamber pots, clean, do whatever needed to be done upstairs, and that's how they called the maid, because there was no electricity.
Right, and this is a pretty big nursery if you really think about it.
It really is, and I assume that because they had adopted their children that they would have probably used this as a bedroom as well as the one on the other side. Both of these rooms had fireplaces in them as well that were taken out when it was apartments. It does have the original melt graining floors that date back to the 1850s, and they used lesser woods upstairs than they did on the floors downstairs, but they grained them to look like they would be pine or oak, and they're probably a soft fir.
Okay. And then right in here is another children's room, I would imagine.
Yes, this was the other child's room, and it's one of my favorites, and there was a fireplace in here as well, and this is very much decorated like it might have been. The bed was a little bit later, but the children's rooms were on this side were really much larger than what the bedrooms were on the south side of the house.
I was just thinking.
The family probably enjoyed having their own space and bedrooms and didn't do the entertaining that the other side did,
Right.
where they wanted the larger rooms for their entertaining, and their bedrooms were not as important to them as what this side is. I think probably the cute things on the doors are the little porcelain that covers the keyholes on both sides, so you could not see into the bedroom from either side. And they are original to the house, as well as the graining that's done on the doors.
Okay, well, that is wonderful. Very wonderful. And this side of the house just showed the personality of the people that lived over here, family first.
It was, and you almost feel a warmth on this side that is much different than what it is on the other side of the house. And as I'm here by myself, sometimes I really get a presence of the people who lived here.
I'm sure that you do. I'm sure that you do. Is there anything else that you wanted to add about springtime here at the museum?
Well, our gardenings are starting to wake up, and we need some more volunteers to help with the gardens. If you have a little time or a lot of time, whatever you would like to give. Also, we're looking for docents to help again this summer. It would only be 1 or 2 times probably the whole summer, and we've had 3 or 4 more people, but it's kind of nice to have a lot of different people who want to do that. If you're a teacher or you have a class that needs to come through, we're filling up quickly, so please let me know as soon as possible. I'd like to get the Geneseo children in first, because we are getting calls from the Quad City area schools and surrounding schools as well. So get those on the calendar, because April and May are getting filled up. We like that.
Right, and that's pretty exciting for you, and good for you.
It is. That's my fun part, too.
It is. Well, if you get a chance to come through the museum, please do. There's a lot to see, more than what the camera could, I'm sure, show, and Angie's done a really nice job of getting everything together and helping it look just like it probably was. This has been Melanie Rice for JCTV.
Hello, this is Brett Decker with JCTV, and I'm here with Heidi Hamer, who is a committee member for the Northside School Fine Arts Festival. Did I get that right?
That's exactly
Good. Tell us a little bit about what is the Fine Arts Festival here at Northside.
It's a program to celebrate the fine arts. March is National Fine Arts Month. And 14 years ago, under the direction of Kathy Lynn, a now retired teacher, she had the idea of celebrating the arts here at school and bringing in local artists. So that's the basis of the whole day, is bringing in talent from the local area and having the kids see what they can do and enjoy the day.
Okay, now give us an idea what kind of arts do they see at this festival?
Fine arts is consisted of 4 arts: visual art, which is what I teach here at Northside, dance, drama, and music. And so we try to find local talent who participate in one of those 4.
Okay, now you mentioned local talent. How much has been local talent over the years?
Out of the 14 years, we've had over 75 local artists, and right here in the Geneseo area has been at least 50 of those 75 artists.
Okay, well, that's excellent. And most of the other ones come from the Quad Cities?
Quad Cities, Kelowna area, not too far away, because it's a volunteer day.
Okay, that leads me into my next question. If someone wants to get involved in that, if they may be a local artist, how do they get involved with the Fine Arts Festival at Northside?
Well, they could sure call the school and contact any one of the committee members here. There's usually 5 to 7 staff members on our committee. We usually scan the newspapers and the media to see any news stories about local artists out there. But if they have someone in mind and they want to give us a call, that would be great, because every year we're trying to find some new artists to bring in.
Heidi, could you give us an example of what types of artists you have this year or maybe in the years past?
Oh, there's been so many, but this year we're really excited about the program. We have a mud painter from the Quad Cities who uses only thing but Mississippi mud to make his paintings.
He's got plenty of material.
That's right. And then we have a nationally recognized wildlife artist, Darrell Bush, and we're really excited about him. And then our local artist is Angela Rathman from Richmond Hill Players, and she's teaching the kids about drama and improv.
Oh, that's exciting. That's exciting. Is there any comedy improv?
Definitely, a lot of comedies. The kids are up and making all sorts of faces and acting like animals. They're having a great time.
Oh, that sounds like fun. When is typically, if someone wants to get involved in this, when does this festival usually run?
Always runs in March, because March is National Fine Arts Month. So we always host our program towards the end of March, and they can just contact the school if they have any ideas about any local artists. And we always use the PTA here at Northside are wonderful in helping set up a great luncheon for our volunteers and our local artists that come in. And JCTV will help fund our beginning assembly. And this year we had a storyteller, wonderful storyteller.
Okay, that'd be neat. Again, how is this usually funded?
JCTV will always help us out with the beginning assembly, because we do hire them out from all over the United States. We've had a professional tap dancer, a juggler, all sorts of wonderful artists there. And then PTA will help with some of the funding, but our local artists are all volunteer basis.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And just for your information, Keith Kennett would actually tap dance for free.
Oh, great.
So if anyone's looking for that next year, that might happen. Thank you, Heidi, for taking the time to be with us today and tell us about the Fine Arts Festival here at Northside School. And this has been Brett Decker with JCTV.
Hi, this is Melanie Rice with JCTV, back with Angie Snook here at the museum, and we have some vintage formal wear for women that we have on display this month. And Angie, you've got a lot of things coming up in the museum that you're going to want to show off these dresses for.
Well, we have a special dessert coming up that Chris Thompson bought for Wells Fargo Bank, and they're coming here for a dessert on the week from Thursday. And so for part of our program, this is what we're showing, are all the old formal wear and prom dresses, and thought it would be a fun thing for the ladies to get to enjoy and see as they come here and eat their wonderful desserts.
Okay, well, these dresses that Keith is panning on are very pretty, but they're a little bit unusual than what we might see today.
Well, the one with the orange jacket is a halter dress, and those are coming back again. That one's probably from the 1930s or 40s, I would guess. I'm not sure. But it is of a beautiful fabric. It has a jacket that goes over top, and it has a big swirl skirt. So it's probably worn for dancing and very special occasions. As I was doing some shopping, I did notice that the halter dresses are back again this season. So maybe we'll see some at our prom.
All right. And the green dress, probably about the same age?
It's a little bit older than that, but it's got a beautiful, beautiful sleeve design to it. And some of the open sleeve designs are coming that way again, as well as the different layers. And that one's just a pretty color, and it's in beautiful shape.
Okay. And as we move on here, I bet this one is just a little bit older, is what I'm guessing.
Yes, it is, and it's just beautifully done. The fabric is of a real soft, I would almost say like a spun nylon, and it has a drape. And I'm not sure the drape comes over the shoulders. That way it attaches to the back straps, and then it could hang down the back or come over around the shoulder as a little shawl. And it's kind of unique the way it's made. It is made in different tiers, and it has a beautiful liner underneath of it as well.
Okay. And would you guess about like how old the dress is?
Probably 1930.
Okay. And that's very pretty fabric, and the color is very unusual too, I thought.
Well, that's what I'm finding interesting, because many of the old dresses have such unusual colors, and yet I know they're not faded because of the type of fabric they have, and they've been well taken care of.
All right. Okay, now, Angie, you said this is from your era, from prom, huh?
Oh, yes. This is from the 60s, and when the spaghetti strap dresses and the first strapless dresses came in, and, of course, they were the minty colors. They were a mint green, blues, pinks, lots of laces. Wore the long gloves that came up to the past your elbow.
Okay.
And the dyed to match shoes are really important, and I'm sure anybody that's in my age group remembers going to the Quad City area and purchasing them. It's kind of fun now because of my husband being at the high school. I hear of a lot of the young girls going to Chicago and Peoria and Minneapolis to choose their prom dresses, and I want them to know that their mothers and grandmothers really chose their dresses, and they were very important to them, just as the ones today.
Okay, well, those are very well kept, and you said those are from the 1960s, right?
Yes.
Okay. And we're here in the library, and these dresses are also very unique.
Well, and this must have been the popular color, the lavender and the peach colors. Almost every one of them has an overlay jacket that comes off and some type of lace accent. One of them even has a muff that I have near it, and they're beautifully, beautifully made, and they would have been such a special occasion. And I think back when our early proms that were held at the high schools, and even the food, if you didn't go out to dinner, you just ate at the high school cafeteria, and it was decorated by the mothers for the special evening. So it really has changed, going to all the really unique places that our young people go to today for prom.
And those dresses, can you guess kind of about what that era would be?
Some of them are 20s, 30s, and 40s, and they were long dresses at that time period as well. In the 50s and 60s, many of them went back to the shorter cocktail length dresses, but then in the middle 60s, we all had long dresses again.
Okay. And, you know, women really did dress up a lot like that, didn't they?
Oh, they enjoyed dressing up and wearing sequin dresses, lots of pretty gloves, hats. We are going to have hats on display as well as what we have out here today. And we're going to have different invitations to different dances in Geneseo, so maybe some people will even see some of their old invitations.
And gloves and hats were pretty much a must, weren't they?
Well, they were. That was just part of dressing up, as well as your fancy shoes. You covered your hands and many times covered your hair, and it was a real special evening, and all the girls always went and had their hair done for those special occasions as sweetheart ball or prom night.
Okay. We're going to go in the parlor here, and I bet there are more dresses in here. Ooh, there's some pretty ones right here.
Oh, one of my favorite ones is this red one. It is flocked. It has a very ornate neckline, also has special little flowers that are made out of a velvet, and they're placed on it. Down the back of it, the whole back is little tiny covered buttons that match the taffeta in the dress. It would have taken her a lot of effort to get dressed and to get the dress on and off.
Okay, well, and that's very beautiful and very bright. I mean, a little bit different than some of the other pastel-y colors.
Yes, and different time periods did have different dresses. Different years had dark prom dresses or dark dresses. Then they went to the pastels, and it kind of varies back and forth just as it does now. A few years ago, many of the girls were getting navy blue dresses, black dresses, silver dresses. And
it's kind of gotten back, hasn't it, to some pastel.
And today, a lot of them are pastel for this year. This is one of my favorite ones, the yellow one, and it is a beautiful scoop neck spaghetti strap dress. It has multiple buttons. It has a beautiful lace overlay. The skirt is a swirl, and when I get all the stuff underneath it, it'll be just lovely. I would wear that dress today, and it is, again, probably from the 1930s.
Okay. And one behind here, Keith, is all like lace. I mean, isn't that all lace?
It is all lace, and I want to show you the back of this one. Probably the most exciting part is the scoop neckline or back line, and it also has a blue liner that goes under it, and it's just beautifully, beautifully made. And I even saw some at Yonkers that look very similar to it, the backs like that, and it's just a gorgeous dress, and it's in wonderful condition.
And I have to say, all these dresses are pretty simple.
They really are. And I also can't believe how tiny those ladies were that wore these.
I'm also noticing that myself. So
The blue satin one that's hanging is just absolutely beautiful. It almost looks like a nightgown, but it is a formal dress, and it's of blue satin. I didn't iron it or steam it because I don't want anything to happen to the satin, but it even has braided shoulder straps on it, and it's very low scooped in the back. It's just a really probably flamboyant dress for that time period. I'm sure she wore a shawl or took something with to cover up as well, but it's just a beautiful dress.
Okay, and what era would you think those two dresses were from?
I would guess probably maybe 20s and 30s as well. Many of the things we have are from that time period, early 40s. But we also have flapper dresses that were from the 20s as well. So it would be the late 20s, early 30s, or into the 40s.
And they're in great condition. Now, you've done a nice job. Any of this stuff here, would you take a fan out?
Oh, of course you would, especially when there was not air conditioning at your high school gym. You may take a fan with to keep cool. Prom was in the spring as it is now, and you never knew what the weather was going to be like. But if you were dancing and you were in a hot gym with no air conditioning, a fan would feel quite nice to have with. Also, they were just part of the dress up with the gloves and the beaded bags. And we will have more of the bags out as well, which I think will be fun. I still have my beaded bags.
Oh, bless your heart. We got a big black dress here, and that is about the only black dress I've seen so far.
Well, really, the black dresses were more for the winter occasions, but this one is just magnificent. It's inlaid with velvet. There is a boa that goes with it. There is also a wonderful bag, and it has a little opening. You wonder how it opens up, but it pulls apart and expands, and then you put all your wonderful things, your little coin purse, maybe your lipstick comb, or your perfume, and you would put it in there and close it up and put the little lid on it, which has a dragonfly on it, and you would have your bag to go with. And it matches the dress beautifully. I would say that's a 20s just because of the type of skirt that it has, the way it swags down at the bottom, and it's higher on one hip than the swag goes down to the other. But it is in wonderful, wonderful condition, and that was a very tiny lady.
Well, and that's a beautiful dress, too. And there's a velvety green one, and we saw some velvet at prom not too long ago. It's kind of come back.
Well, this is an early one. This is probably about 1910, and it has a jacket that comes off. It has very unique puff sleeves, and they are double-darted, and the flowers are also in velvet that are on it, and it is a sleeveless dress. Underneath it does have a scoop back and the small buttons on the front. It is a crushed velvet, which may mean that it is a little later than what I'm thinking, but it's a beautiful piece that was just given to us, and I was happy to get it on display to share with the people.
And those flowers are part of the dress?
They're all a part of the dress.
Okay.
They are made especially for the dress and are out of crushed velvet as well and are attached directly to the dress.
Wow. It sure doesn't look that way because it looks like there's some stems, but that was totally part of the dress.
It's totally part of the dress.
All right, well, I hope people come in and see that because that is very unique. And here's a pretty white one.
Well, this again is probably from the 1960s, and I just love it. It's a little off-the-shoulder satin dress, and it's overlaid, I can't remember the name of the fabric, taffeta, and then it has a beautiful lace ivy trim that's on it, and it's just such a pretty dress. It's got a V waistline, which would be very slenderizing, and in the back, then it scoops down to a V, and then there's the collar goes down to the back of it too, which is just very, very pretty.
And the skirt is a lot fuller than some of the other ones that we've seen, just naturally.
It is, and underneath it has its own petticoat that goes with it, which holds it out, which is very nice because the petticoats in the lingerie that went under it were just quite a feat to get on as well. So that one was already built in with it. Some of the dresses had built-in stays and built-in bras so that the women would not have to wear all the corsetry and extra undergarments that they'd had to in their everyday wear.
The joy of dressing up, right? And we've had one last one here, and this one looks like a gem.
Oh, this is one of my favorites as well, and the back of it is just all tailored, and it has just a multitude of ruffles down the back. It would be from the 1920s. The jacket does not come off. It is attached to it. It's part of the way it is made. The skirt flounces in uneven manner, which was the way it was designed. Any lady that wore that would feel like a princess. It's just a beautiful, beautiful gown.
And you said you have a few more that you haven't gotten out.
Well, it's been a busy week here at the museum, which I'm happy for, but we will have even probably about 10 more dresses out.
Okay.
There's one on the piano that is a flapper dress from the 1920s. It's absolutely fabulous. It's all beaded, and it will be on display. We have some other ones that are from the 40s and the 50s that will be on display as well. Many, many hats will be on display, and I think it'll be a real fun exhibit for everyone to just kind of come in and take a look at. We are open now, and we've been open all year from 9 to 12 and 1 to 3 by chance or by appointment, but June 2nd we'll be open 7 days a week instead of 5 days a week, and Saturdays and Sundays we will be open from 2 to 4 as well. And I just wanted to comment because we've had a number of people asking how many people have been through the museum. In the past year, we've had nearly 7,000 people through the museum. That does include Victorian Walk. And I just think the publicity needs to get out because we've heard comments that, oh, the museum's never open, but we're open 5 days a week. So I just wish more people would come and take advantage of it.
Okay, well, you're probably busy doing something. They probably can't hear you.
Well, we are busy, and it's great that we are.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. And I don't want to take anything away from the women, but I'm sure the men dressed up too, didn't they, to go with them?
Yes, it's changed somewhat, though, because the boys didn't, or young men did not wear tuxedos and all the garb and the top hats that are worn today. Many of them wore their church suits and their good shoes, and they dressed up. And, of course, corsages and boutonnieres were very important back then, just as they are today. And so as prom night comes around, you know, look around and at the restaurants and see who's going in, and I always make my husband go and check it out because I love to still see all the dresses all dressed, all the girls all dressed up in their pretty dresses.
Well, it is one night that you do kind of get to wear something a little bit different.
It is, and it's a fun time that no one ever forgets.
That's right. Okay, well, thanks a lot, Angie. You done a great job again. This has been Melanie Rice here with JCTV here at the museum.
Hi, this is Jody from the JCTV, and we're here at the Geneseo Public Library with Director Brenda Fowler. Brenda, give us some highlights of what's coming up in May.
Okay, May is going to be a very exciting month for us here at the library. We're going to have lots of hobbies that are going to be displayed not only in our wall in the Hammond room, but in the 2 display cabinets in the hallway. And Laura Hecht is going to have her counted cross stitch on display in the case. Jeanette Dwyer is going to be displaying her sewing baskets, and Lene Rayburn is going to be showing us some small wall hangings, which are quilts. And they're going to be hanging in the Hammond room, and they should be very beautiful. May 6th through the 12th is Exceptional Children's Week, and we're going to be displaying these artistic creations in the Hammond room as well. And May 26th, which is a Saturday, we're going to have a drop-in craft morning for all ages, 9 to 12. And so we hope we'll have a lot of people coming in for that. May is also Physical Fitness Month, which you probably know all about. Our Adult Services Librarian is highlighting books on quilting this month, since we're going to be having the quilt display in the Hammond room. And we also want to remind parents that we have an exceptional parent shelf there in the children's department. We usually don't display the things because some of the contents are of a little more sensitive nature, and we feel that parents should be more aware of what is there so that they can help answer some of these really hard questions kids always come up with. Also, we're starting to get ready for our summer reading program, and it's called this year Feed Your Need to Read.
It's a mouthful.
Yes, it is. And registration for that starts May 29th, and actual programming will begin in June 11th, in fact. So stay tuned, call your library, check our website, use our newsletters, or just like I said, call us at 944-6452. And we still have Dial-A-Story, so the kids are welcome to make sure they tune in for that too.
Give me a little insight on drop-in craft. What is that for the ages 9 through 12?
Okay, what she usually does is set up several different crafts at different stations in the Hammond room. And then as the children drop in through the morning, there's not a prescribed time that they have to come, so they can come in at any time that's convenient for them and their parents and do these little crafts and take them home with them.
That sounds so exciting. Great. And you were talking about the reading program. I know you said it started in June. How long does that usually run for parents that have never participated before?
This year, I think we're running it for 6 weeks, and it will end in the middle of July, latter part of July, which it usually does. This year, it's going to be ending July 19th. And we also will be performing or getting together for the Doodah Parade, which is June 15th. So we have a lot of exciting things and a lot of good programs for the children.
Great. Well, thanks for giving us the highlights for May, Brenda. And this is Jody saying goodbye from JCTV.